financial explosion and personality-splitting. Greenspan's memoir The Age of Turbulence came out at a delicate moment. The real estate bubble burst. The subprime crisis is spreading. The answers to irrational behaviors found in the book from the perspective of psychology and anthropology, while they are ultimately rooted in human nature. The tendency to turn from excitement to fear has not only become the best footnote to this crisis, but more importantly, it also inadvertently revealed that although Greenspan has been in charge of the Federal Reserve, which represents the authority of rationality, for years, his heart is full of fear for irrationality and powerlessness for foam. What a great split this is! In fact, when it comes to human personality, most people will believe in its innate and unchanging characteristics. But from agriculture, the evolution of the three-character classic from the well-known concept of human nature is inherently good at the beginning, similar in nature, but far apart in habits to the industrial civilization's concept of human nature is like jade, and both nature and emotions can be shaped undoubtedly. Y highlights the dynamic and malleable aspect of human nature. In other words, the production and lifestyle styles under different cultures play an extremely important role in shaping the character of people living in them. For example, in the agricultural economy, the production method of relying on the weather for food and the exchange method of physical objects such as gold and silver as general equivalents bring about a social civilization characterized by honest labor and self-restraint, accompanied by the mechanized production mode of the industrial economy, and the exchange method of currency, paper currency, as the general equivalent. There has been a great expansion of human subjectivity, distortion caused by a single working method, and diversification brought about by the symbolization of value standards. Human personality has also become rich and complex. With the accelerated evolution of civilization, the evolution of this personality that originally belonged to several generations is becoming increasingly concentrated, shrinking to a generation, especially in the short span of nearly half a century. Information civilization and financial civilization have successively arrived, and profound changes in production and lifestyle, as well as various new features, are all impacting people's original thinking habits and behavioral concepts, and even subtly changing people's personalities themselves. Firstly, a major characteristic of financial civilization is irrational prosperity. From the price-to-earnings ratio to the market dream ratio, which refers to don't focus on performance or value principles, just dream-like growth expectations. For example, the stock price of LMZ, which is mainly engaged in toothpaste, once soared to yuan, because its holding of about % shares of CITIC securities gave people huge rising to a high point. The total market value of listed companies in the Shanghai and Shenzhen stock markets has experienced a efficient growth, reaching trillion yuan, of which the market value of A shares is trillion yuan, becoming the largest emerging market and the fourth largest securities market in the world. The securitization rate of China's economy has continuously crossed the threshold of percent from percent a year ago, which is comparable to the level of the international mature market. A number of aircraft carriers, such as PetroChina, China Shenhua, China Construction Bank, China Railway Group Limited, have achieved securitization through the issuance of new shares through IPO. A number of central armies, such as China Shipbuilding, Xi'an Aircraft International and Dongfeng Electric Machinery, have realized securitization through overall listing. A large number of national team companies such as NFC, CNOOC Haisheng and Huadian Energy have realized securitization through resignation, elopement of publicly raised funds, exposure of sweatshop, and the spread of migrant labor shortage have become the external manifestations of the labor price crisis. It seems that the crisis in factor prices has arrived early. Coal, electricity, and the prices of resource goods such as oil, gas, water, land, and production factors such as labor are becoming increasingly uncontrollable, forcing prices to enter a second round of breakthroughs. On the one hand, China's production factors are already low, with industrial electricity prices only accounting for 4% of developed countries such as Japan and Italy, urban water prices only accounting for of international water prices. Labor productivity equivalent 2% of the X, but wages only percent. Globalization has inherent driving forces for domestic production factor prices to align. On the other hand, according to Citigroup's latest conservative estimate, the overall cost savings of industrial enterprises due to price distortions were approximately trillion yuan, accounting for nearly % of GDP. The cost of production factors is artificially suppressed. Not only does it not reflect the true cost, but also artificially overestimates profits. Some scholars estimate that domestic enterprises will unreasonably save at least % of production costs as a result, assuming that the enterprises themselves absorb % of this product. Prices will also increase by at least %. Therefore, the market's reconfirmation of production factor prices is an insurmountable barrier. In fact, if prices are distorted, they should be reformed. But the reform of the price mechanism is hesitant. Reform faces difficulties and the inability to rationalize prices. The essence of price crises reflects the crisis of reform, and the inability to promote reform lies in ideology. If there is a problem with ideology, it is a crisis of ideology. Our country is a country with several levels of civilization and several days of complex IT, which cannot be compared to other countries. However, with knowledge at its peak and a superficial grasp of complex situations, using classical Western theories and thinking and methods under agricultural civilization to respond will undoubtedly encounter bottlenecks, making reform difficult. Therefore, the ultimate solution to the price crisis lies in the renewal of ideas. It may be a necessary condition for emancipating the mind to subvert cognitive inertia and the old truth standards with the idea of post-industrialization or even financialization. Even if we can keep up with the times in our thinking, the path of institutional reform remains bumpy. Not to mention the resistance of some special interest groups to reform. The living pressure brought by global inflation alone has made it difficult to reconfirm the prices of production factors, let alone the fact that price reform is now facing two major. The financial crisis has not yet bottomed out, but no one mentions currency wars anymore, as they are considered war dollars in the book. The murderous and behind-the-scenes Wall Street tycoons died before they got out, while most of the survivors sold themselves to the government, were denationalized, and even did transsexual surgery to return to the bank to survive. The expected market of painful shearing by the crisis did not happen, which made people obsessed with explaining the financial crisis with conspiracy theory very frustrated. Did investment banks die of mass suicide? Just as currency war itself is a specious rumor strung together with bizarre conspiracies, even such a book is rumored to be a copycat version because the original version comes from the United States. However, the views in the book perfectly match the needs of those who have suffered heavy losses due to misjudgment of the situation, as dressing themselves as victims of uncertainty is more likely to gain sympathy. Therefore, as soon as this book was published, it was highly sought after and appeared at high-level financial seminars, serving as a shield against pressure. However, with the passage of time, the currency war has no effect on the overall situation, and it is still not eloquent enough to be used for casual conversation after meals. The essence of the financial crisis is money surplus, but in the conspiracy theory, money can be controlled unilaterally and completely. The six major families behind the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve control the situation, using cunning tactics to influence currency flows and earn large amounts of money, in order to achieve their goals by killing people and de-Buddha. However, the most fatal flaw of this logic is that the government and the six major families do not have the control they expected. They may have controlled the currency within the banking system. Once the currency flows out, it is not only difficult to track but also repeatedly transforms into capital and hot money. What is even more terrifying is that during this process the scale of the currency continues to expand. The expansion ability continues to improve, and speculative models are extensively replicated, creating a vast amount of money, book assets or liabilities registered on the balance sheets of financial institutions are in reality dependent on the price of resources and assets. The contradiction between the leveraged expansion of monetary capital and the limitation of the price rise of assets and resources will automatically close positions under the law of value. Obviously, this is the original sin of self-expansion and self-evaporation in finance. So on the one hand, the runaway of currency falsify the possibility of a holistic and long-term monetary conspiracy. On the other hand, the automatic Liquidation of currency has falsified the possibility of a century-long and shocking conspiracy. Of course, it is not ruled out though. The conspiracy theory failed in the subprime crisis. It is undeniable that there have been instances in history where certain families or consortia controlled a country or the international financial system for a certain period of time, such as the Rothschild family, the Morgan-Consortium, etc. However, in today's global financial integration, financial strategies between countries and the strategies of multinational consortia are highly likely to hedge or offset each other in the process of implementation, even if the conspiracy is successful. As a member of the international financial system, it is also difficult to stay out of the crisis. Just like Nazi Germany provoked World War II, but was finally destroyed by World War II. Thus, compared with honest labor and to each according to his contribution in industrial economy, financial civilization controls capital with wisdom. But the result is full of uncertainty. And the most important point is that Fukuoka once said before that story is the general equivalent of financial civilization. Its characteristic lies in identifying the differences in things and exaggerating them infinitely. One of the reasons why Britain and the United States can monopolize the forefront of financial civilization is this. For example, when Morgan Stanley opened the door to the non-performing asset market in China's banking industry in the problem faced by the Chinese banking industry was clearly how to reduce the non-performing asset problem in new loans, while Morgan mistakenly described it as how to dispose of existing non-performing assets. In the United States, Morgan's main method of disposing of non-performing assets is clearly to buy them and wait for the recovery of the macroeconomic environment. But in China, they promote the so-called popsicle theory rather than slowly melting them down. It is better to sell them quickly. And for a long time, the U.S. Congress has always regarded real trade as the entire economic issue between China and the United States, and has been working with the White House to reap the benefits one by one. So, it's not just small scammers who are scammers, but big companies, institutions, and countries. As the saying goes, behind every huge fortune lies a profound evil. The financial explosion has brought unprecedented prosperity and high-quality living enjoyment to people. But it has also laid the foundation for injustice, the seeds of sex, uncertainty, and deception, just like the industrial economy. Start from utilizing resources to being limited by them, from creating wealth to wasting wealth. And when a thing develops to its extreme, alienation arises. In this way, it seems easy to imagine the terrifying prospect of a financial civilization that is passionate about storytelling. On the one hand, the alienation of credit. The financial explosion has exploded the connection between tempting interest rates and honest products, such as the bond exchange members holding exchange member stocks, and all financial institutions can participate in securities trading ISOs activities. abolish various financial investment regulations, and banks began to provide comprehensive financial services, including securities business. In full OMS of regulation, the Bank of England has transferred the regulatory function of the banking industry to the Financial Services Authority of the UK. The financial Big Bang in the UK completely destroyed the financial division of the UK and Commonwealth countries and promoted the integration of merchant bank business and stockbroking business, as well as the integration of commercial banks and investment banks. Commercial banks in the UK have successively acquired and merged securities brokers, gradually emerging a group of super financial institutions, covering various fields such as banking, securities, insurance, trusts, etc., becoming a versatile financial group similar to Germany. Just as the Thatcher Revolution triggered a wave of global market-oriented reforms, the City of London's finance exploded. The explosion triggered a global wave of financial liberalization. Japan Tokyo financial explosion. Japan's financial liberalization reform directly refers to the sample of the UK which is called the Tokyo Financial Big Bang. This is short. The Hashimoto Cabinet of Japan was launched on July with the core of promoting financial liberalization by relaxing financial regulations. The main legal basis of the Tokyo financial explosion is the Foreign Exchange Control Law and the Bank of Japan Law. The main content is that Japan will relax foreign exchange trading restrictions, and the venues for foreign exchange trading are not limited to licensed banks, and even supermarkets can engage in currency exchange. Japan's financial industry is officially moving towards free competition.